In this video, I will show you different ways we can work with PDF files in order to analyze data which may be contained as text or tables within the PDF file itself. Now, PDF documents are used all the time because the format is consistent. But sometimes we need to edit and extract some useful data from PDF files. Now, Python is a great enabler for us to be able to extract, edit, and even write to PDF files because it has many modules that we can choose from which we can leverage functionality to perform the respective tasks. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be using a module known as PyPDF2. And PyPDF2 is a third-party module that was made specially for Python 3. So providing you have Python 3 installed, PyPDF2 is the module that we're going to be using. Now, for the purposes of this short example, I have created a random PDF file, and if I open it up, you can see it just contains one table of information. It has some headers and it has some values under each. But if we wanted to analyze this information, maybe perform some calculations on it, it's very difficult to do in a PDF format. So extracting this information into Python, in which we can then conduct the analysis, is our goal. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to make sure that we have PyPDF2 installed. So in Jupyter Notebook, if we put an exclamation mark, then pip install PyPDF2, if you've already got it installed, you'll see that the requirement is already satisfied. Otherwise, the installation will start, and this is what's going to be used in the following example. Once PyPDF2 has been installed, the first thing we need to do is to import it into the notebook that we're working within. So we can put import PyPDF2, and then we need to create a PDF file object. And this is essentially going to be us opening up the PDF file. So if we put PDF file obj and set this variable equal to a call on the built-in open function, in which we can then pass in random.pdf, which is that PDF file that I want to read from. I'm then going to pass in a second argument in single quotes, which is going to be R, which means that we're going to be opening this file for reading, but we're also going to put B, which also stands for binary mode. So RB is going to be our second argument in order for this PDF file object to be created without any issues. We then need to create a PDF reader object, which does what it says on the tin. It enables us to read the contents of the PDF file. So if we create a variable called PDF reader and set this equal to a call on the PyPDF2 module, we can then place a dot, then we can access the PDF file reader method. Inside parentheses, we'll then pass in that PDF file object that we created above into parentheses. Passing in this file into the PDF reader method allows the file itself to be read by the PyPDF2 module. Now, seeing as this PDF file only has one page, we can actually read a specific page. So if we create a variable called page object and set this equal to the PDF reader object we just created above, and then place a dot and then access the get page method, we can pass in the page that we want to extract information from. So in this case, we put 0 because we know we only have one page. And think of the 0 in the same way that you would think of indexing. Now we have the first page stored in this page object, we can now extract the text from the page. So if I simply put page obj.extract text with parentheses, and then wrap this in the built-in print function, when I run this code cell, you can see the contents from our PDF file have been printed to the screen. Now, admittedly, this is not in the best format for us to be able to conduct analysis, but we'll touch on this shortly. Now, an important thing we need to do once we've read the contents from a PDF file is close the file. So we need to access the PDF file object and then utilize the close method. So we can put PDF file obj dot close with parentheses. Now, this really is compulsory because if you leave it open and then try to read in another file, it will give you a file reading error. So we have to open the file, read its contents, and then just make sure we close it at the end. Now, so far we've seen an example where we've extracted text from a page, but we can extract text from all pages at once, with a small change to this code cell. So the way we can do this is by looping over the number of pages. So just above where we've set our page object, we could put for I in range and then open parentheses. Then we want to find the number of pages in this PDF file. So we could put PDF reader, which is that reader object we've created above, dot num pages, which will then count the number of pages that this PDF file has. We can then put a colon. Then we can keep the same code lines below, albeit we need to indent them. And rather than putting get page and passing in the page number, I'm going to pass in I. Now, seeing as I only have one page, it's going to come back with the same result. But if you had 10 pages, you'll find that the text from all 10 pages will be presented on screen. Okay, so now let's suppose we wanted to get this information in a list in order for us to be able to slice it into formats that we want. Well, with a slight tweak to this code cell, what we can do is assign our extract text method to a variable called p_text, because that's the entire text itself. I can then print the p_text variable. We'll then print some dashes, but now we will split these lines into a single list. So we can then put p_lines, and we'll set this equal to the p_text object now, which contains the text. We can then put dot split lines. When we now print out p_lines, you can see that the information that we extracted from the PDF file has been presented in a list, which we can now index, slice, assign to different lists, whatever we want. Now for written text, this may make sense, but for this specific information, which we know is contained in a table of information, using PyPDF2 is not necessarily the best approach. It enables us to extract the text, but to extract the tables from the PDF file, we actually need to use computer vision capabilities in order to detect these tables first, which would then enable us to extract the specific table. Now to accomplish this task, we can use a library called Tabular. Now Tabular is a third-party Python module, and it's designed to read and extract tables from PDF files and then store them in CSV format. So the first thing we're going to need to make sure we have is Tabular installed on our machine. So if you haven't done already, just run pip install Tabular. We then need to import Tabular into our workbook, and then we can simply use the read_PDF method that comes with the Tabular module. So if we create a variable called contents and set this equal to tabular.read_PDF, and then open parentheses, we'll then pass in the file that we want to read from. So we'll put random.pdf. We can then put a comma. I can then specify the pages that we want to read in. So I'll set the parameter pages to equal the string all. If I then take a look to see what's stored in the contents variable, you can see that we're presented with a much nicer formatted version of the table. We can see the column names, we can see the index values, and we can see the respective values under each column. Now admittedly this is a list, but what might be easy is for you to store the information in a CSV file so you have the data stored on your machine, and then if you wanted to, you could read that CSV data back in to a pandas data frame. Now in order to convert this into a CSV file, we can once again use the tabular module, so we can put tabular, we can place a dot, we can access the convert_into method, and inside parentheses we're going to pass 4 pieces of information. The first piece is the input path, so we need to put the PDF file that we're reading from, so in this case it's random.pdf. The second argument will be the output path, so this is basically going to be the name that you want to call your newly created CSV file. So for this purpose I'll put output_of_random. We can then put .csv. The third parameter is output format. Now it's defaulted to CSV, but if you wanted to export this say into a JSON file, you could also do this. But seeing as we want a CSV, I'm going to set this equal to CSV anyway. We can then put a comma. And the fourth parameter is pages, and we're going to set this equal to all. In other words, we want to extract all the information from the random.pdf file. When I run this code cell and then navigate to the file path where this notebook is stored, you can see that we have an output of random CSV file now saved to our computer, and if I open it up, it looks exactly how we would expect it to, formatted with comma-separated values, with each row of information on a new line. So as mentioned, we could then read this back in if we wanted to into a pandas data frame for easy analysis, but hopefully this has given you an idea as to how we can read in text or table information utilising PyPDF2 and also the tabular module. Feel free to explore this concept on the web. There is plenty of material from Python contributors that explain how you can extract PDF files that come in different formats. But if there's anything you should take away from this video, it's the fact that Python has the capability of reading PDF files. In the next video, I'm going to take you through a short example how we can also write to PDF files, so I'll see you in the next video.